Hey ladies and gentlemen, Lee Karaoke here. I wanted to do a quick update of a couple of things that actually I realized while working on this health optimization AI plan, right? Whatever it is, I haven't even thought of a name. But generally, like I mentioned last time from the last video, that there's a couple of things that really make a huge difference in your health. The first one is your resting heart rate, your variation, your heart rate variation, VO2 max, how many steps you're taking every day, and then definitely your sleep. And of course, like your eating window, your feeding window, and then pressure. But a lot of times, like your pressure, your blood pressure will be determined by steps, sleep, right? I would say everything here is literally determined by two major factors, which is your steps, your sleep, and how you're eating, like your feeding window. So in trying to actually track everything, right, I talked about like how I'm literally syncing my data from my iWatch, right? And literally how you do it is you can go to Claude or make sure you download the Claude app, right? And then from the Claude app, you can sync your health. Just go to settings and then you can sync your health data from your Claude app, right? It'll connect. You just have to give it permissions, and then you go to your Claude desktop, and then now from there you can actually just create an MD file, which is a markdown file where you put in your instructions and say, hey, could you pull this data weekly? So I used to do it monthly, but now I want to shrink it down because, hey, if you have to wait 30 days to actually start making improvements, that's such a huge window, right? And you want to see whether you're on the right track as soon as possible. So you want that feedback window to be shorter and shorter, so that you can know, hey, are you on the right track? Is there anything you could do, right? So I started before I was doing it monthly, but now I want to do it weekly, right? So weekly, every Monday, it does a hard pull of data, and then it pulls in, and then Claude, I have this evaluation skill that actually goes in, evaluates everything, and then it actually tabulates everything, and then it actually presents it in this template. I have a template for it, right? So my resting heart rate definitely went up. It's supposed to go down. So that's something I need to take care of. I need to definitely watch. My heart rate variation went down instead of going up, right? My step rate is up. Fantastic. VO2 max is up. Fantastic. It went by 0.94. So that's great. So, and it shows you like, hey, how it's trending on a day-to-day basis of May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, all the way to the 17th, right? I did a hard pull on the 17th. And then the other thing, so I had taken a trip, and I was like, the problem with trips, like the hardest thing about trips is that, hey, there's breakfast that's laid out, and people eat breakfast like between 7 and 10, and it becomes really hard, to literally stick to your routine, right? Especially now, like, hey, you're on a trip, you're outside your routine. So I definitely see these variations. But then the steps is definitely great, but my eating habits were definitely changing, right? Because, hey, I'm out, I had gone to a cabin, and breakfast was like between 7 and 10, and and then it kind of just creeps up on you. You're eating late, you're staying up late, your sleep is not optimized. So my sleep was definitely not the best. As you can see, even on 5/11, I think 5/11, I don't even know what day that was, but you can see definitely, like, I definitely need to work on my sleep and get back to routine. My VO2 max is definitely it's trending upwards, so that's a great thing. But my sleep, definitely my recovery, and then red flags, it said, definitely I need to definitely make sure I optimize for my sleep, and then my training. So it also said, hey, something to consider if training days where I have over 10K steps, right? And I have to definitely make sure I sleep over 6 hours, and then maybe shrink my feeding window, which is like intermittent. It's not, I wouldn't call it intermittent fasting. Maybe you can refer to it as that, but it's just think of it like your feeding window. And the reason why you want to shrink down your feeding window is so that metabolism, right? Your metabolism slows down as you grow older, which means that the way you break down food is very different when you are actually younger compared to as you age, right? So food, the digestion and breaking down metabolism of food takes a longer period, and if you're not either active to kind of speed up that metabolism, or you're continuing to feed food, that's where you have like a lot of undigested food that's stuck, right? That's not able to be digested because of the velocity, the speed. Like the more you're putting in food is much faster than the way it's actually being metabolized. So to actually solve that problem, it's not really like what you eat, but the speed, the rate at what you eat, right? It's not like how fast you're eating, but how often are you eating, right? So And it's not like people say, oh, eat often, eat in smaller portions so that your food can metabolize faster. Like, you have to start paying attention to your biology, right? I wouldn't say everyone's biology is the same. Some people if you're younger, definitely. You're more active, definitely. You know, your metabolism is much higher. You're burning food much at a faster rate. If you're sitting at a desk, you're not really doing any active activities, like physical activities, then your metabolism is definitely much slower. So you know exactly how your metabolism is. But for me, I know, like, hey, it takes sometimes and certain types of foods, right? It takes between 24 to 48 hours. So I try to actually hedge against that by literally definitely lowering that feeding window. So for me, it's between 12 to 7, and it's saying, hey, you know, if I should try and actually lower it from 11 to 7, maybe extend it a little more. But so these are the metrics that I'll be tracking every week. I still have my goals here. I did go up in weight, you know, from, I think I was like 216 or 215. I went up to 220 again, you know, blaming on these vacations and taking trips. But I'm back, so I'm not taking any trip until in June, end of June. So, but generally this is how you can track and start paying attention. And this, by the way, also affects like your blood sugar, right? Just by paying attention. You don't need, because everyone tells you, oh, you got to watch what you eat. And yes, that's important. But it's more important to actually incorporate like a long-term life cycle whereby you can maintain it, right? And becomes part of your identity, compared to you trying to do everything because, oh, there's a vacation coming up or summer is coming up, and then you can't maintain that lifestyle. So it's more important to actually adapt to something you can maintain over a long period of time, and then it becomes part of your identity, than to go in and try and crash land everything. And then just because there's an event coming up, there's a high school reunion or summer is about to come up, and then you can't keep up with that habit. So you're almost yo-yoing, right? Like a yo-yo, you know, today you're up, tomorrow you're down, and that's not consistent. Consistency is probably, you'd rather even gradually just do it, you know, step by step, and then eventually you can increase the intensity than to try and do it all in one sitting. So that's the update. I'll definitely be sharing my updates every week. But I've created the scale. I was thinking of actually just creating an entire workflow that I can share. But if you would like this template, you know, so that you can incorporate it into your LLM, just let me know. Send an email to admin@Lee Karaoke, Lima Echo Kilo Alpha Romeo India Umbrella Kilo India.com. Cheers. Have a great week. One love.